Hey everyone, welcome to the Dance Mompreneur podcast. This is a place for the dance community to feel seen, heard, but also to thrive. This is actually episode number 1, and I'm so excited to introduce you to me. I'm going to share with you guys all about the mission behind this podcast. I get to talk about my childhood. I get to talk about being introduced to dance, becoming a dancer, becoming a mom, becoming a single mom. I get to share all the struggles about that, and then being married to a Marine, an entrepreneur. We talk about business, we talk about entrepreneurship, we talk about balancing life, sacrifices, dance community. All of it is such a great conversation. I hope you all get inspired to go after your dreams, and I hope you all realize everyone has challenges in their lives, and that's what makes it all beautiful. So here it is. Like, subscribe, and enjoy episode number 1. Hello and welcome to the Dance Mompreneur podcast. This is episode 1. I am Nara Wiggins, and I'm so excited to share with you guys why I have decided to start this podcast, what this is going to be about, and I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for joining me. So before I dive into what are we going to be talking on this first episode, I want to share with you the mission of the Dance Mompreneur podcast and how this started and what we're here for. So I decided to create this podcast because I wanted to be a place for the dance community to come together, talk about topics that we don't get to share very often amongst our peers or maybe in the dance studio. I wanted this to be a place where we can share helpful tips, share some resources, and give some inspiring stories for our fellow dancers, our dance moms, and any professional in the dance community industry. So I wanted this to be a podcast that is going to instill in you a personal growth. We're going to be talking a lot about success stories, entrepreneurship, and a lot more. So I'm going to be interviewing a lot of dancers, choreographers, instructors, and anyone in the industry that is an expert. But I'm also going to be talking with dance moms, the common people and ordinary people that make all of this happen. And I think that's very important. And my goal is to just, create this community that can celebrate dance while offering practical advice and help us navigate all the challenges that comes with being part of dance. I think this is so important to understand how can we improve and live a more balanced life, if that's even possible. And this is what we're here for. So thank you for joining my podcast. So I'm going to start episode 1 with sharing with you guys a little bit about my life, my story, and how did my story with dance got started. So I am Brazilian, for those who don't know. So I was born and raised in Brazil throughout all my life. And my first experience with dance, well, before actually going to actually doing dance, I have to say that my culture, it's a very dance culture. Our culture is all surrounding by dance and music and festivities. So it's almost like everyone knows how to dance. Everyone knows the art of being surrounded by dance, and everyone has that dance way of doing life. It's more laid back, it's more exciting. There are nuances of relationships and the way that you talk and the way that you do things that has been part of who I am in my culture. So growing up, I was always that kid who was entertaining the party. I could not listen to a music that I'll be dancing on the dance floor. I'll be dancing all kinds of dances and everybody would be looking. And I remember my sister's like, oh my gosh, you're too much. You stop dancing. I just couldn't help it. I was that kid who always loved music and dance. So, but my first contact with actual dance, I remember like it was yesterday. I went with my mom to this place. She was looking for a place that she could join to do swimming classes. It was not swimming lessons. Have you seen those? I don't know what they call it in Brazil. They used to call like hydro gymnastics or something like that. It's just those classes where you jump in the water and you do exercises and doing all those movements with your hands and your feet. It's just easier on the body as you are an adult. So my mom was looking for those classes for her. So she took me along with her. And when we got there, the lady saw me and she was like, hey, we also offer dance classes if you want to register your daughter. We have ballet and jazz and all this. And I remember looking at her straight in her eye, like, yes, please. Like, I've been waiting for this moment. And, growing up, we didn't have much. I lived with my mom. I didn't live with my dad, and my parents were divorced, and we didn't, yeah, we did not have much growing up at all. And so that was a very like exciting thing that I was like, oh my gosh, please, my mom's gonna put me into something that I love. And I remember my mom looking at me and she's like, okay, do you want to do it? I'm like, yes. So she put me in dance, and actually this is the place that I stayed until I left America. So I didn't move cities, I didn't move, dance studios. I took classes at other dance studios for a season, but I was at the dance studio for a while, and I started my journey. So I started taking ballet, and I don't know if I have mentioned yet, but I was 10 years old when this happened. So I started a little bit late. I mean, for me, it wasn't late, but real seeing how kids, especially today in dance, are starting so early. I was like, wow. My daughter is 11 now, and she's an amazing dancer. She can do so much. I had just started at her age, so I started at the age of 11 doing ballet. Fell in love with it. I just think that dance brought this aspect to me that my life seemed to be so chaotic outside of dance. There was no structure in my family, the way we did things. It was very crazy. It still is very, very crazy. That dance brought me that perspective that I was needing. Like when I was in dance class, I felt so safe. I felt so calm. I felt like I was in control, and I felt like I could truly be myself and be seen. And, I'm one child, and in my family, we had four kids. My mom had four kids. So it was a busy household, and cousins around, aunts around. It was always busy. And at dance class, I felt like, oh, this is my moment. This is something I can do. And no one in my family had danced before. So it's not like I come from my family of dancers, but I do have a lot of musicians. I wouldn't say artists, but musicians in my family. There's a lot of uncles and cousins who play all kinds of instruments. It was never my thing. I liked it. I still enjoy looking at it, but it was not my thing. My thing was dance. So there I started my journey with dance, and I ended up taking ballet. Then I started taking jazz. I remember taking some contemporary. And let me explain this to you. In Brazil, especially back in the day, right? This was a long time ago. It's not like you had these studios that were offering all those dance classes. Most studios were focusing on just, we are a ballet school, and that's what we are. The other one would be, we are a jazz school. That's what we are. Oh, we are a tap school. That's what we are. So back in the day, we didn't get to explore all these different styles of dance like people do today. Plus, it was expensive to do that too. So it's not like you could go to this school and then that school and this school, right? So as I got older, I got introduced to jazz and contemporary, but that was it. I never got to do hip hop. I never got to do, tap. I never got to do all this other stuff. But it was amazing because I found myself in dance. When I was on stage, um, I felt my best. I felt like I could truly be me. I built so many good friendships with dance. I had my best friends. We grew up together. I remember laughing so much, all the funny moments we spent together. So every time I went to dance, it was my favorite time of the day. I used to go at night. It started with a couple classes a week, and then it ended up being a Monday through Saturday kind of thing. And but I became so close with not only my friends at dance, but also my teachers. We were very, very close. We had a very close relationship. I mean, I felt like I was friends with all of my teachers, even though they were, much older than me and us, but it felt like a really tight bond and community. And, I would say the challenge that I faced were always financial. I had a financial struggle to stay in dance. I remember my mom having such a hard time paying for the dance bill every month. It was not easy, and everything else extra that came with it. It was never. I didn't have anything easy. I couldn't buy the dance shoes. I had to wear my dance shoes until, they were like barely unrecognizable before I could purchase more. Um, I had a hard time, paying for the costumes at the end of the spring concert. But it didn't matter because, to be honest with you, I wasn't the only one going through this, in Brazil at that time, or at least the place that I was in. A lot of my friends were going through this as well. I wouldn't say all of them, but I had friends that we were going through the same thing. We would laugh about it and again keep going. But the financial struggle was hard because I felt like I was missing out on so many opportunities. I always felt like I couldn't do the things that I wish I could do. I couldn't have the clothes that I wish I could have. So it wasn't the best scenario to grow. It wasn't the best place to just become a great dancer. But I enjoyed it very much, and it was very part of who I am, who I was, and it's still part of who I am. Um, so I danced until I was, well, let me say this. I went to the USA when I was 20 years old. So a year prior to going to the USA, which is a whole different story, it's when I quit dance. At that time, I quit dance because I didn't have time to be in dance anymore. I started going to college in Brazil. We start college earlier than people in the USA. So I was 17, I was in college. So the first 2 years I was able to manage being dance, but then it became where I didn't have time for dance anymore. I had to study a lot and I didn't have the money anymore. And also I had to start working. So I started working at the age of 16 and I had to pay for bills. I had to pay for other things. So dance was no longer a priority. And let me explain something very clear to you guys. Most places in the world, dance never becomes something that you make money off. It's never become something that is recognizable. And I know you would say, oh, in the USA is the same. It's so different in other countries. It's just so much worse. So you already know that if you were in dance, your parents were like, oh my gosh, there you go. She's going to be broke for the rest of her life. She's just going to be an artist and a dreamer. And there was never any clear direction as to how you could make money as a dancer. You knew people would dance professionally, but it was almost like impossible to get across these opportunities. You got to remember, this is back when we didn't have social media, we didn't have anything like that to guide us. So I would be at the mercy of my teachers to maybe, hey, let me know if you hear about anything that's happening. It was always this very secretive place. It was a secret. When an opportunity would come up to, hey, maybe you can dance for this singer that is going on a tour, or maybe I've heard of people going to cruise ships, and they would be gone for months. And I never wanted to do that. I thought it was a little bit weird at the time. I didn't want to stay away from my family in this train, in a cruise like that. So there were not many opportunities. So it came to a point that I'm like, okay, dance was fun. Dance it was a part of me, but let's go back to the real life. I got to make money. I got to have a profession, something, outside of dance, because clearly dance is not going to work. And that's what I did. So I started school to be a journalist. I wanted to study journalism because I've always enjoyed the camera. I've always enjoyed talking. And I figure, communicate something along communication would be something that I would do. Um, and I ended up doing 2 years of university, and then I ended up going to the USA. And that's a whole different story as to, we'll get there. But this has been my experience with dance. And I would say the ways that dance has impacted my life to this day have been many, but I wanted to point out that I am a very disciplined person and I own everything to dance. Dance made me so disciplined, and it was so important to still that in me at a young age, because it didn't come from my parents. My parents didn't teach me discipline on a lot of things, but I saw that I was so different than other people that were not involved in anything like that, because we took dance so serious, especially ballet. It was so very serious, the rules and how you behave yourself and all those things. And I took that to life. I could see, as I became an adult, how disciplined I was. Nobody had to tell me to work out. Nobody had to tell me. I've been working out my whole life. I went to the USA and I was working out. I have always done exercises. I always chose to live a good lifestyle when it came to my body. I always made good decisions when it came to the things that I ate, the things that I put in my body. I never enjoyed being lazy. I I've always been like, you show up to this place at this time, and that's the time you're supposed to show up. You don't show up late. You do what you said you're going to do. You fulfill your commitments. Your words matter. How you present yourself to the public matters. I always knew how to be professional. I did really well with all the jobs that I got because people saw that they could trust me, that I put myself out there and I would present myself really well. I would represent the company really well. all those things came from dance. All this confidence, all this um, discipline and hard work. I understood from a very young age, you gotta work hard for this. And and this has been shown in my life 100%. And that's why I always bring up to parents that what this is why dance is so important. It's so much more than just dancing. You're learning how to build relationships. You're learning how to be responsible. You're learning how to grow up, how to be mature, how to take criticism, how to be disciplined, how to work really hard, how to overcome your fears, how to become confident. All the stuff that I've seen in my life as a reflection, and it's been incredible to see. Well, now I'm gonna jump into the transition of becoming a mom and then becoming a mom of a dancer, which was something I never really thought it would happen. But I guess inside of me, I dreamed about it, but never really put too much thought into it. But becoming a mom, yes, 100%. This is something I knew I wanted to do. I wanted to become a mom my whole life. I knew I could not wait to have children. It's been something still inside of me, very nurturing. And when I became pregnant with Evelyn, I was 25. I was finishing college in the USA. There's so much more into that story, and hopefully I'll share some other time. But it was a very crazy time in my life because I wasn't expecting to get pregnant. It was unplanned, but very much so amazing because it's everything that I've always wanted. But I got pregnant with Evelyn. I was in this relationship that was it did not work, and the person ended up not being part, deciding to not have anything to do with Evelyn in our lives, and it was a really strange and hurtful situation that I had to deal with. But again, you got to remember, I've been very resilient. My life in Brazil, my life as an immigrant, going to the USA, overcoming so many obstacles in my life had made me a very resilient person. And becoming a mom just changed everything in me, right? So when I got pregnant with Evelyn, I knew from that moment, even though it was the scariest moment of my life and I couldn't believe that was happening, from that moment on, I knew everything was about change. And I was willing to drop everything and anything to make sure that my daughter had a good life, to make sure that I was going to be the best mom I could be. From moment one, it's like that connection was always there. So becoming a mom was so incredible because for the first time, I was being very sacrificial for someone else. And I think there's so much beauty into this. And I couldn't believe that I could love someone this much. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. From the moment she was born, I would stare at her. I'm like, this is my kid. Like, how can I love you so much? And Evelyn was the most joyful, sweet baby. She made it so easy for me to be a single mom because I had to be a single mom. She literally did. She made my life easy being a single mom. And um, when I had Evelyn, and this is a long story, but when I got pregnant with Evelyn, I was in the United States, but I came to Brazil to have Evelyn because I wanted to be surrounded by my family and my friends and people that loved me. This person that I was with no longer wanted to be part of my life, and I realized I was alone. There's no way that I should be alone having a baby. I understood the postpartum because my culture is very much in favor of giving that woman that 40 days of support. The whole sisterhood is there. Like, we're gonna give her food, we're gonna clean her house, we're gonna help her with the baby. Like, every woman jumps in, and it's just amazing. And I was like, no, there's no way I'm gonna experience this in the USA alone. So I came to Brazil, had Evelyn in Brazil, surrounded by my family. It was amazing. They were all, even though it was not what they expected for me to had to experience in life, and they were sad for me, and they were, sorrow for the things that I was going through. They were so excited that they got to be around me and around Evelyn and help us through this time. It was amazing. And when Evelyn was almost 1 year old, we decided to go back to the USA. So that was kind of hard for my family because they didn't want me to do that. They wanted me to stay in Brazil, and rightfully so. They wanted Evelyn to stay in Brazil, rightfully so. It was one of the craziest and riskiest things that I've ever done in my life. But I cannot tell you guys how much I knew that that's what I was supposed to do. And today, when I think back on, hold on, I was going back to the USA with a 10-month-old baby on my own, alone, with no family members, with the father not in the picture. What was I thinking? I don't know what I was thinking. I would never do this today, right? But I had this almost like this strength from God and this voice of God telling me, this is what you're supposed to do. I got you. I'm with you. And this courage to do something that was absolutely insane, but hard to do, necessary for me at the time. I felt like this is what I had to do. Well, I went back to the USA and was a single mom, struggling for a while. And always wanted to, as Evelyn got older, so moving on, as Evelyn got a little bit older, I've always wanted to put her in dance because I'm like, okay, I have a girl. Like, I wonder if she's going to like dance. I never wanted to be one of those moms that forced her kids to do something that they hate. Never, never, never. I would never do that. I wanted to see what is it that she likes, and let's see if she likes dance. That would be awesome. If she doesn't like dance, it doesn't make a difference to me. So I remember I started seeing those traits in Evelyn, where she was also very bubbly, very wanted to be in front of the camera, very funny, very artistic, very entertainer, and always loved dancing. That girl always loved dancing. And but I could never afford to put her in dance. Never. It was just like it was impossible. So the first time I put her in dance, it was after, I met my husband, who is now my husband, Brian, and we got married and we were in Brazil. So for the first 2 years of our marriage, we spent in Brazil, which was very, very cool. And then at the time, Evelyn was almost 5 years old. And I decided to it was the first time we could afford. I'm like, we can afford dance. I want to put her in dance. Oh my gosh. She absolutely fell in love with it. She loved it so much. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is amazing. And she did dance for about a year. Well, after that, we decided to go back to the USA. When we went back to the USA, Evelyn at that time was really obsessed with watching these gymnastics, Ninja Kids at the time. I think it was Ninja Kids still at that time. Like all these kids were doing these acrobatic moves and all this crazy stuff on the screen. She watched the shows and she's like, oh my gosh, I got to do this. So she would go to the park, go to the monkey bars, and go to all the stuff in the park, and she would try to do the craziest of moves. So Evelyn has never been scared of heights. She's never been scared of anything at the park. She's been the most courageous kid. Like, she would literally, guys, I'm not even lying, I would go to a park or to somebody's birthday party that had trees around. I'm talking to somebody, when I look, my kid would be on top of the tree. Like, she climbed the whole tree all the way up, and she was like 3 at the time. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, that is my kid. Like, she would always be climbing things and doing crazy tricks. It was insane. I was never the super scary mom. I used to be like, okay, Evelyn, come now, let me help you. I would never freak out. I allow her to take risks because I don't know, I felt like that was important for her to do. But this was her personality. So at the time, she was really about the tricks and acrobatics. So she told me, hey, mom, I want to try doing gymnastics. So as soon as we had the opportunity in America, we put her in gymnastics. This is when we were living in Nashville. In case you guys haven't noticed, I have moved a lot. Both before I married my husband and then after meeting my husband, we've been everywhere. USA, Brazil. We are a very multicultural, diverse, and traveler family for sure. So we were 7 years, Evelyn was about 7 years old. We were in Nashville and I decided to put her in gymnastics. I had no idea what gymnastics was. No idea, like, didn't have any understanding, but that's what she wanted to do. So she started doing gymnastics and she became extremely good at it. So, newsflash, this is Evelyn. Everything that I put her on, she does an incredible job. And I'm not saying this because she's my kid. I'm not even showing off or boasting. This is just who she is. And everyone around me attests for this. If I put her in a sport, if I put her to play volleyball, she becomes incredible. If I put her to play basketball, incredible. Gymnastics, dance, this type of dance. This is just Evelyn, who she is. And I even later on, like actually not long ago, I had this guy come to me who was a coach, and he's saying there's something special about your kid in the sense that she's very coachable, and you can see that she wants to succeed in everything that she does, and she picks up on things fast, and she's very mature. So this was Evelyn. Well, anyway, she was doing gymnastics, and I remember she started in January, and by July, she was competing in gymnastics already. Started competing. She started doing amazing gymnastics. And then what happened? COVID hit, right? It was the whole thing with COVID. We're like, oh my gosh, we can't classes anymore. And then she becomes, we ended up moving one more time from Nashville, Tennessee. We decided going to Knoxville, Tennessee. And when we moved to Tennessee, I was like, okay, Evelyn, as soon as we could go back to classes, which was such a chaos at the time, but as soon as we could go in person, I'm like, okay, I'm going to look for a new gymnastics place for you because, again, she was doing really good in gymnastics. She got first place for a lot of stuff. Fantastic. She told me, no, I want to go back to dance. I was like, really? Like, why? She's like, I don't know, mom. I kind of miss dance. I want to go back to dance. And I mean, some things out of me told me always like she's a dancer, but I wanted to respect her. I wanted to make sure that that's what she wanted. So she wanted to go back to dance. Well, she ended up going back to dance and we started putting her in ballet, in jazz. But what happened in the next, 3 years, it was insane because Evelyn started excelling so much in dance so fast and she started growing so much that it was kind of like took me by surprise. I knew she would like dance, she would do dance. I just didn't know she was she was going to excel this much, that she was going to take it so serious, and that it was going to mean so much to her, right? And this is what happened. She started excelling, and I started seeing something inside of me shifting to where I was like, wow, I got introduced to this whole world of dance that I had no idea, which is dance competitions in the USA. I mean, guys, if you don't know what this world is, yeah, you have no idea. You don't know. It's not until you're in it that you see what it is. Because for me as a dancer, as you may think, wow, you have a dance background. You know exactly what this is. No, this was nothing like me growing up. Nothing. So I showed up. I was completely lost. It's so weird. I didn't even know that we were joining like a country club. That's what it felt like, right? I didn't even know this. I was just like, oh my gosh. And you guys see me on like social media being very extrovert with my videos. What you don't know is that I'm actually an introvert. I'm not the person who's gonna show up and want to talk to everybody. I'm not. Like once I get to know you, I'll open up to you. I'll be the coolest person. We'll have the coolest friendship. But at first, no. I'm not gonna talk to nobody. This is just my normal state. So I show up to dance like really shy, like I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just gonna stay here in the corner, you know. And I know that it probably came off as like I didn't want anything to do with people, but I was just so out of my place. I didn't know what to do. What this all this stuff was about. What I didn't, you know. And especially started becoming a little bit weird because Evelyn was excelling so fast, and you know how. I don't know. I always felt a little bit weird about that because I was like, I don't want it to be that kid, that kid's mom, and I didn't want to be part of the weird conversations and wow, but um, slowly I started falling in love with dance. Well, the dance competitions, I mean, seeing Evelyn on stage was so emotional. It was so emotional seeing she took it so serious, guys. She was going to class like 6 days a week, and she started becoming friends with these girls and becoming super confident and super like happy. I've never seen my daughter more happy, right? So yeah, that's how I got introduced to this world. And it was incredible to see the dynamics of the dance world, like how competitions work, the judges, the choreographies, how fast it is, and, getting awards. I mean, oh my gosh, but it was exciting. I felt like it brought excitement to my life, and I needed that. And I loved that I could enjoy something that my daughter was also enjoying, and we could do this together because those were bonding moments, like getting her ready for a competition, doing her makeup, and doing her hair. Even though, believe me, there are crazy moments, and if you're a dance mom, we stress out, we fight, there are tears. It's all part of it, but it's all beautiful because it's just you sharing memories with your daughter, and it's seeing your daughter who is going through a lot and actually like training so much, and like not having time to do anything outside of dance. So you understand why the stress and frustration is there, because this person is working hard. Anytime you see somebody working hard, there's going to be a level of stress there, right? And the moms too. We're also working hard to make sure our kid is presentable, that we're on top of everything, all the announcements, that we can pay for everything. It's just a lot. That's why I even started this podcast and started the Dance Mompreneur Instagram page, because I want moms to know that they're not alone. Yeah, like all moms, we feel the same way. And this world of dance can be very chaotic, and there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of emotions going on. I mean, emotions during competitions are so up and down. I mean, you can be angry in the morning, super excited, the next minute and crying tears, and then be upset about something later and be like out of words of excitement, screaming of joy. I mean, it's insane, right? But we love it. And I just loved being able to build those memories with my daughter. It's been so incredible. Again, the bonding we've had because of dance has brought us definitely closer together. And my daughter knows she can count on me. And just a little bit more background on my story. I didn't have that relationship with my mom. My mom was very much not part of my dance, not part of anything that I was doing. I don't think she did it because she was a bad person. It's not that. I think there were many aspects of it. I think my mom was very busy. She was her working person. She was always working. She didn't have time for me. We didn't have money. You got to remember what this does to people. When you work hard and you have no money, and also, my mom couldn't understand anything about dance. She didn't know how to connect with me in that way. So she didn't give me any support. It was hard for me. It was hard because I could see other moms doing that with their kids. Like they would be there helping the hair, helping the makeup, and talking to them and knowing who their friends were. My mom was not that mom. Like nobody knew who my mom was. She would show up at the recital, at the dance competitions, watch me. Like I had to do everything on my own, every single thing on my own. So which, maybe the person I am today. I'm very responsible, a go-getter. Um, but I definitely wanted to make sure my daughter had a different experience. I wanted my daughter to know that she could count on me, that she could confide in me, that I was there to encourage her, that I was going to push her to grow, but also be there to support her, I would make sure that I would do anything in my power to make her look good, make her feel confident, and make her feel like she has a support system, that she's not alone, and so she can bring that to the stage. And that's what I do, and I love that. I love it. I don't regret any of it. But now I want to talk, moving from this. I want to talk a little bit about being an entrepreneur and how this has impacted my life, not only as a mother, as a wife, but also in the dance world. I didn't know anything about being an entrepreneur. I was raised to be an employee, like most of us. I was raised to follow the system, go to college, get a job, and that's all you do for the rest of your life. You never become wealthy. You never do anything too much outside of the lines. You kind of do what other people have done that have worked for them, that had given them some type of stability, and that's what you do. It wasn't until I met my husband, Brian Wiggins, for those who don't know, who is a Marine, who went to combat twice. Incredible guy, very unique person. If you know him, you will agree. He's a very one of a kind, and it wasn't until he was in my life that because he's been literally a born entrepreneur from the moment he was born. I feel like he was put on this earth to be an entrepreneur, to live outside of the system, to draw outside of the lines, and to guide so many people to do the same. It wasn't until he came into my life that he started opening up those stuff to me. So he started bringing his mindset to me. He started bringing up, you need to change your mindset. Like your mindset is very closed. It's very limited. He started, showing to me how limiting my thoughts were. And he started introducing to me the idea of doing what you love, of not having to work for a paycheck, of doing things that you're passionate about, and making more money than you ever thought was possible. He always believed in those things, and he started putting this in my mind. So ever since we got married, which was in 2016, I have not had a job ever since. Never had a job since 2016. When he met me, I was working in Chicago for a corporate business. It was an IT company downtown Chicago. I was climbing the corporate ladder, working my butt off, leaving Evelyn daycare for 12 hours a day. I was so drained, and I was making little to no money. And he was like, nah, we're going to be doing things outside of the line. And that's where we have been ever since, through many, many. I mean, we have so much to share about story. Can't wait to bring him on this podcast and we can share that about that. But we've been through many ups and downs. And the thing about being an entrepreneur is that it comes with struggles, it comes with risks, and it comes with rewards. And it's an adventure. It's a journey itself. But it makes you grow so much as a person, as an individual, and and you challenge yourself so much and you experience things that you never thought it was possible. So yeah, we've been through many moments of having nothing to risking everything to making moves that most people would never do to having a lot and then not having a lot again and building something new. And we've been through this in our lives. So we built businesses together, and Dance Mompreneur came through a time in my life where I was really low on hope. I was feeling like, you know what? I've had this spirit of, listening to what my husband has to say and kind of shifting my mindset, but I'm tired. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I kind of just want to hang out here and do nothing. And my husband saw inside of me. He's like, Nada, I see inside of you that you have so much fire, that you have these things out of you that women draw themselves to, and that I'm seeing that you're not happy. You're not happy. You need to flourish. So it came from the idea of my husband coming. It's like, I want to help you build a business for you that is more what you want. Because before then, I was helping him with the business that he had created. That, like he said, God gave to him that business. And it was a service based business, construction business. And I was doing the whole office stuff, administrative, that I'm really good at it. Like I said, I'm very, you know, to the teeth with things. I'm very organized. I'm very, particular. I'm very disciplined, but I wasn't doing something a lot. To be honest with you, I kind of hated that job. Even though it was our business, I just was doing because of money, and I was doing because I was helping my husband, and it was our family business, right? But it was not something that I was loving doing it. So he came to me and said, you need to do something that is you. I want to support you. I want to be here for you. He's been my biggest cheerleader. And it sounds pretty when I say this, but it's not pretty. It's one thing that I want to make it very clear. It's not pretty, because the cheerleader that I have pushes me beyond anything that you can imagine possible. So there have been many days and nights of fights and discussions, and me uh, resisting and pushing him back because I don't like where he's pushing me. I don't like the things that he has to say. It's not easy. And I laugh about it now that I can understand better, but this is what it takes to get to where you're supposed to be. I mean, if you don't have somebody next to you that is pushing you, then you're never going to become the person you're supposed to. And I push him too. Just so you guys know, I may not have had this whole entrepreneur mindset, but I push him a lot, and he's got to where he's got to, because he's with someone like me. But yeah, it's been fun and challenging all at the same time, but I wouldn't change for the thing. I wouldn't change anything because we've never been closer to the life that we actually wanted to live for a long time. We never been closer to our dreams getting accomplished and our goals than now. And I don't regret anything. We've lived a very awesome life. We have so much incredible stories to share. Really, like there's nothing ordinary about this life that I've chosen to live as an entrepreneur, as a mom, being married to a Marine. Nothing ordinary about it, and a lot of amazing, crazy stories to share. So I think this is a plus because many people don't get to experience this. Yeah, so I think the balance. I want to go into the challenges that we can face when we're trying to balance being a mom, being involved with dance and being an entrepreneur. There's a lot that goes in all of this. And I know everybody's looking for the perfect balance. I don't believe in it. I believe that there are different phases in your life that you're able to do certain things that make you focus on one instead of the other. And there's different phases of life. So I've had moments where I've been really calm and excited and joyful, in other seasons in my life that I've been very stressed out, very anxious, and very, what you would call unbalanced. A lot of pressure, right? And I think as an entrepreneur, especially, a lot of times you feel like you don't fit in because people have a stability to the way that they live life. They have the way that they plan life. Like, people work from this time to this time. They take vacations, summer break, Christmas break, right? Most of the world is on this regimen that when you're an entrepreneur, you're not. And also, I was a homeschool mom. I never mentioned this before here, but I homeschool Evelyn from first grade until actually right now sixth grade. Sixth grade was the first time that she entered a private school or a school for the first time. So I was also homeschooling Evelyn. So our life was very outside of the norm. It was like very flexible. We did things in times that people would normally not do. We worked at different times where people would normally not do. And it's sometimes it's hard to fit in because you feel like your life is so weird and you're such an outsider compared to everybody else. And also you have to understand a lot of times you're going through the struggles of building a business. So you can it's not something you even want to share with other people because they will never understand. So who do you talk to when you are an entrepreneur? Who you talk to when you are stressed out as a mom? And it's very hard to find a community. It has always been for me, for sure. But I think the highlights of living a life like this has been, the growth that I've taken as a human, as an immigrant, as a Brazilian who went to the USA, as a woman, as a mom. I've grown so much and I've become so more I've had so much more wisdom about life, so more mature about things, and yeah, and it's been also incredible to be raising a kid in this way because I feel like Evelyn has lived a very unique life that most kids don't get to live. She got to experience very different kind of weird parents, right? What you would say weird, but she has experienced very different parents. Most kids don't get to have this. And I think it was really good for her because not only being multicultural, like I'm Brazilian, my husband is American, the culture clashes all the time. People say now you're way more American than you are Brazilian. Probably. Who knows? I think maybe there's a part is true about that because I've lived the majority of my adult life in the USA, and I've always loved the USA. I've always been very patriotic about this culture. I found myself in that culture. But at the same time, oh my gosh, we are still so different, me and my husband. It's insane. And then on top of it, he is a Marine. He went to war, right? He's a veteran. Anyone here who knows a veteran is married to a veteran, no, he's a unique guy, okay? And and my daughter got to experience that, but we've always been very forward with her with the things that we believe in, lifestyle. We've always treated her as much as we treated her as a kid, we've treated her as an adult from a very young age. We touch on topics that most parents are not talking to their kids. We were very realistic about life, so Evelyn has been through the struggles with us. That's why when you meet my daughter, and everybody has said this to me. So I'm not just saying this. A lot of people have said this to me. There's no way your child is 11. Like, she's so mature. She's so mature. This is the reason why, because she was raised by an immigrant, me, who has a very wild perspective on life and culture and things. And we do, immigrants, we do. And because also we come from a background of struggles and financial instability, we have to also grow up fast and have different we don't live in a bubble, right? Because I didn't live in a bubble, I feel like Evelyn did not live in a bubble as well, and I think that's an amazing thing. And she also has two countries and cultures to always compare to and experience. She's always been going back and forth to Brazil and America, and yeah, she has a very broad perspective. And then she has my husband, who, even though he's an American, I always joke with him that he's an immigrant because I feel like the way he described his life was a very much a life of an immigrant in America because he didn't have it all easy and given to him. And he's gone through a lot. He was raised by a single mom, and then he has his experience going to, joining the Marines and going to war and all of that. So she grew up with that, and she's a very much better kid because of it. I think that's so cool. And also I think it's cool because I was able to be present with Evelyn because of the hustles that we were doing, the trying to become an entrepreneur. It allowed me to homeschool my daughter. It allowed me to stay home with her. I cannot tell you that I didn't enjoy her childhood because I did very much. I was very present in her life. And so was Brian. For most of the time we've been married, he's been very present in her life, very part of everything that we did. And it's been amazing. So yeah, well, first of all, I'm very grateful that you're here, that you're listening to my story, that you have decided to join this podcast. And, I think that I decided to do this because we need community so bad. And I think moms are living lives alone today. Not only dance moms, just motherhood is very lonely today. And I think women need a space where they feel heard, where they feel like, somebody's talking to me. I know because those people, those communities, when I've had them, has been so impactful in my life. And that's why I created this. And I want us to come here and talk about topics that we normally don't talk about. I wanted to come here first of all, and for you guys to get to know me, because you may see me on Instagram, and I have all the funny videos. I'm the funny, relatable mom, and I am. I love it. I love having fun. I love showing this side of me, but I have a whole completely other different side of me that I wanted you guys to know and understand who I am outside of being a dance mom. Who am I, and learn a little bit about why I do what I do, why I'm involved with dance, who my daughter is, my husband, and feel like, oh, you know what she's talking about is what I went through. Oh, that makes sense because I felt the same way. We all have our stories as to even why we are involved with dance. Why are we a dance mom? And people think dance moms are all crazy, and we may be a little bit crazy. Of course, we have to. But we are so unique as well. Not every dance mom is the same. Like, I love the uniqueness about every mom that I talk to that is a dance mom. And I've met some incredible people. I've met some horrible people. And it's life. It's what humans are, right? It's what this is all about. So I want us to come here to this podcast and get just an outsider perspective on life, on dance. And I wanted to encourage you women to reach for their dreams, reach for their goals, become successful. I wanted to inspire them to do more because, you know, it was women like this who helped me go in my life. I've had this example of women in my life, my grandma, my mom. They're extremely go-getters. They are very hardworking and strong women, and I come from a lineage of very strong women. I really, really do. And I carry this with me, and I want to carry this to the next generation, like my daughter, and if I can impact her friends. But I know there's so many of us out there, and I wanted you women to get inspired too. You don't have to settle for less. You can take a risk. You can go on an adventure. You can start something new, and you can live an incredible life, and you can actually start enjoying your life now. You don't have to wait to do this later. Enjoy the life that you have now. Go after what you want. You have talents, you have skills, you have potential. Every one of us does. And you are unique in your own way. You don't need to try to be anyone else. You can get inspired by people, but there's something unique about you that God can bring it to the world, and it can be such a blessing to people. So that's what I'm trying to do here. And I wanted to tell you guys what you can expect from the topics that I'm going to be talking about and the guests that are going to be coming on the show. So here are some topics that are going to be coming up in the next episodes, which is going to be, challenges in success in dance. We're going to be bringing in, for example, dance moms. We're going to be bringing in dancers, competition judges, health professionals, dance instructors, studio owners, and so much more. So I'm so excited about that. It's going to be really cool conversations, and conversations that I wish I was listening to when I started dance. It would make my life in dance so much easier and more enjoyable. And yeah, my hope is that you're not alone, and that you have this community that is here for you, and listen to the stories. Grab a cup of coffee or a glass of wine, whatever suits you, and enjoy these conversations. Be part of it, and let me know your feedback. Let me know what you guys think. So if you enjoy this first podcast of Dance Mompreneur, I encourage you to subscribe, leave a review. Let me know what you thought about this first episode. Let me know your thoughts. And yes, make sure to follow me on social media at Dance Mompreneur, and invite other moms, other dancers, other people to listen to this podcast. And if you have an interesting story about you or somebody that you know, please share with me. I would love to have them on this podcast so they can also share hopes for the future of other people. And thank you for tuning in. And I want to talk a little bit, just a little tease on what we're going to be talking about on the next episodes. So we're going to be talking about balancing dance and motherhood, starting a dance studio. We're going to be talking about the importance of networking in the dance community and when it comes to auditions. We're going to be talking about the acro explosion in the dance space. Cannot wait to have this conversation. We're going to be talking about injury prevention and recovery for dancers. Oh, guys, there's just so much more coming. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for joining me. This is all I have for now. I cannot wait to talk to you guys again on episode number 2. Bye.